This was once a land of fable, of adventure. A magical land full of characters and creatures that resemble those in the stories you've been told. In this land, time is hazy, and everyone spends their lives searching for their happy ever-afters. There was harmony, forces of good working for those happy endings. But evil was always lurking around the corner. Now, a terrible calamity has occurred. A massive explosion, a series of attacks. Our land has lost its magic, drained away by some unknown force. Our realm needs help. People from other places, other worlds, who can use their powers to bring back what we once had. Adventurers, thank you all for coming. Our fate now rests on your shoulders. Welcome to Reverie.
We are actually starting with you, Em. So we start in the universe we will all end up in. I describe the three good boys briefly for everyone.
Yes, so we've got three lovely little mice. There is a black one, a brown one, and a white one. The black one is a nice little, the brown one is a nice little chubby boy. He looks very friendly. He carries around a sword and a shield with him. The black one just kind of like sulks into the corners and has this cape over himself and kind of makes himself as hard to see as possible. And the white one just stands up straight, holding his cane in his hand, very proper, rests whenever he's resting, both little paws over his cane. So their names are Patrick is the brown one, Chauncey is the white one, and the Master of Darkness is the black one.
Wonderful. Emma, which of the three of them has the highest passive perception?
Let's see. Chauncey's is 16. Patrick's is 13. It's Chauncey.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, they all, after the events of the one shot, they went back to the Lost Boy tree, correct?
Yes. They went with
Okay.
people.
So the three of the mice, I would assume they would they prefer to be in the tree, or would they prefer to be in their own little tent? What they have done?
Oh, they don't care. They'll go wherever. I'm sure if there's a nice little corner in the tree, they'll go hang out there. Maybe if there's some cheese around or some.
Okay, let's go ahead and say there is a rather large central. Oh, it's unfinished, but I'll go ahead and post the art. I'm going to post the art for you. So there's a rather large central. If I can, why can't I paste? Can I not paste something into?
No, you have to drag and drop it or upload through the button.
Oh, that's dumb.
You can paste, you just have to use the keyboard commands. Or are you talking about Zoom?
I was talking on Discord. Can you figure that one out for me? Can you figure that one out for me, Codium? I was going to put the Lost Boy tree in the art channel, and thank you. Great. Okay. So there is a large central nook in the tree that's large enough that there are a couple of the Lost Boys that sleep in there, but they're snug in there. So if they were wanting a small dark space, there's definitely room for three mice among those two Lost Boys if they'd be good with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So they are in there. A morning soon after the events of the one shot, and Chauncey hears and takes notice of an argument taking place just outside of the tree.
I'm so sorry. CoDM is still looking for the picture of the tree.
It's in Reverie art thing I made. It's not with the NPCs. It's okay. I can post it later. It's not a big deal.
But yes, we are having an argument.
Yeah. So here an older voice speaking. Peter, I have to do something.
You don't know what this will do to you. We need you.
It's more important that I take care of this, that I do something, than I stand around organizing. We need help.
What if it hurts you?
I am one person. We need others who have their power still.
We need you. You're the one that can help us with this. Who knows the land better? We're not going to make it without you.
Chauncey does like just kind of like slap at his brothers to make them listen. And then they all just kind of like scurry over to like press their ears against the door and listen to the argument.
Okay. I'm one person. You are putting far too much on me, Peter. If I can use what's left of me to make this happen, then I need to.
We'll find another way. We'll get the fairies to help. Tink can help.
Peter, you've seen them. They're barely holding on. They're practically magic themselves.
Did I hear someone needs help with something? And around, out the door, around the corner, or whatever, just comes this brown mouse, and behind him, the white one just shaking his head.
Oh, hello. I believe we've met. Are you... I'm sorry, which one are you?
Well, that's very rude. Not all mouse look alike.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant of the three of you, of the brothers.
Well, my name's Patrick.
Patrick. Well, good morning, Patrick. Peter and I are... I intend to attempt a ritual. We're still gathering some of the items for it, but Peter and I are having a disagreement about the safety of it.
And the white one kind of suddenly like perks up a little bit. A ritual? What kind of ritual, may I ask?
Well, it seems as if everyone who has found refuge here has lost all of their access to the magic of the land, and I don't see how we can solve this with no one with magic. I looked through my old books. I think I have a way to pull others in if they are willing to help us. If things were different, it would not require so many elements to be prepared, and would not require a sacrifice from myself. It would just perhaps be a draining day, but without my own magic. But I believe that sacrifice from myself and the other items that I've gathered and the one that's left to gather will be enough.
So you're saying that you will die committing this?
No, I will not pretend that I have attempted this before. I have not had need to. But I believe it will simply, hopefully temporarily, consume some of my life force. I don't believe that it will kill me.
But she doesn't know.
I don't really like to get involved with all the magic things, but I know that Chauncey hasn't been feeling himself lately, and I think we would like to offer our help. And they're just kind of looking at each other and agreeing. And Katie, I did roll a stealth check for the Master of Darkness. And I rolled a natural 20 with a +7.
Okay.
He is on her shoulder.
So she is in as she always is, she is in a full midnight blue cloak. So is he under the cloak or on
he's
top
under
of the
it.
cloak?
He just pokes his little nose out, like just to let his brothers know he's there, and then he hides back underneath.
Do you want how high do you have Jupiter, do you have Peter's character sheet pulled up?
Yes, somewhere.
Oh God. I don't know where hers is.
What's his perception?
Yeah, I'm just curious if you wanted to roll perception if he sees. I'm gonna just say that she doesn't.
Oh, so not good.
All right, so neither of them see then. Yeah, the only ones who see this are the brothers that he allows to see it. Amazing.
I just realized that it's more that he's just giving a whiff of his presence and not sight because they are blind.
That would make sense. That would make sense. I keep forgetting that as well, that they're all three blind. They just maneuver
he does
so
not see
well
anything.
that
Yes.
well, yes, and I can imagine that my sense of smell is probably better than either Peter or
Yes.
this person. I guess we can say fairy godmother. That would be recognizable to you. I don't think you know her name. Her name isn't a secret. It's just not how people refer to her.
Yeah.
So you probably
I
wouldn't.
think she introduced herself as the fairy godmother to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be how she. I'm so sorry. Adria's mowing the lawn, and they are losing their mind over that bat. Out! 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 Go bark over there. Okay. So you had just okay. So he has snuck up there, but they had just offered to help. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. She smiles gently at them. Well, I certainly appreciate that. In fact, I think you would be perfect for the job of what I need. The last magical element I need for this ritual is a small amount of the sap from this very tree. However, for obvious reasons, it is difficult for me to get at without harming the tree. However, inside where you just, I assume, came from, there are small cracks in the tree from its age that I think perhaps you would be able to reach inside and get to a part of the tree where you could retrieve sap without having to cut into the tree at all.
Oh, I could certainly do that. And if it's a little hard, I've got some teeth.
Wonderful. We want to damage the tree as little as possible. It is the reason why the sap will be an important part of this ritual is because there's so much power in this tree. And it seems to be one of the few places that, although it's not the same as it was, it hasn't lost everything that makes it special. So I hope that will be enough.
From under her cloak, she just hears, "Are we getting paid?"
So he's not like throwing his words or something. He's just speaking from right next to her shoulder.
Well, he says it, and then he scurries over to the other shoulder.
So she fully does the double take of like almost turning not like she's out of instinct, kind of like a wah, and then there's nothing there, and she's confused. I suppose. Obviously things are a little bit strange in terms of commerce at the moment, but
Leslie, we don't have to ask for payment. Chauncey doesn't have any magic. That's payment enough. Well, I just think it's nice to get a little shillings too.
I'm just imagining a little Oliver Twist version of this mouse picking pockets. Amazing. Well, we've essentially been sharing everything in the camp, so whatever you need, I'm happy to provide as long as we're able to get it.
No, that's all right. We don't need anything.
Well, if you're willing to take this on, I am going to start preparing then. I will be right here if you are able to retrieve that. And she's going to go ahead and start like marking out the area that she needs. And you can see her placing a few other objects that you don't really recognize. They look like average things, but there obviously must be some magical purpose to them. They must be somehow magical at different corners of the spots, and ends up sitting in the center of it, cross-legged with her cloak billowed around her, clearly starting to meditate and prepare herself.
Peter is following her through all of this, but like really like he's full on pouting as he's just like going through and like kind of like straightening things and just kind of like kicking his feet a little bit, but he also like fluffs out her cape for her when she sits down, and then he scoots off to the.
That's adorable. All right, so do the mice head to get the stuff?
Oh yeah, they're going and they're arguing. I do wish you'd talk to us, Patrick, before signing us up for things. What else are we going to do? You don't have any magic, do you?
I'm going to keep it pretty straightforward. If you just want to roll, choose who's going to. Okay, roll me a perception.
I assume it would be. Is it like an athletics thing, or is it?
I'm thinking 2 steps. Roll me a perception, and it can be any of them to look for a good spot to crawl through.
Well, I can't look, Katie.
Oh, that's right. So I guess feel for.
Okay.
How many times will I forget? So many.
19.
All right, yeah. They find a spot really easily. And then yeah, we're gonna need I think it would probably be Dex, because even for them, these are small passages. They're not really passages, they're cracks in a very old tree. So they're having to really wiggle through here. It's not a tunnel. It's squeezing through spots and contorting themselves.
Okay. 16?
So it takes a little bit. Who's going for it?
It's Patrick. He's a little chunky.
Okay. So he's going for it. It's a little awkward. If they could see, they might. It would be a little funny to watch. He's kind of contorting himself and having to, like, he gets through one little spot and he's got a little bit of chub going out through the side, and then he gets in a different angle to get through. You might hear the small little trickle of a laughter from a lost boy who might be kind of watching from inside that spot, thinking it's hilarious to see these little mice doing something very strange. But after a few moments, he is able to feel that, okay, there is some wetness here.
It's moist.
He's clearly gotten to a central part. What does he do to get it?
Well, I assume he would have the tiniest, hold on, the tiniest little flask on him, and just try to scoop it into there or something.
That's adorable. I think it'd be easy enough to get it in there. He does end up with his paws like very sticky and covered in it. It's definitely, it's sap. It's sap.
So he could lick it.
Sure, if he wants to.
He could lick his hands clean.
It tastes very like minty, like so minty that it almost like tingles your mouth a little bit.
Oh, it's like a nice mouthwash.
A little bit. Yeah. All right, and he can contort himself back out. I'll give you that one free.
Yes. And they'll bring it back out again, and Patrick's just like, maybe finishing off a sappy finger or something. I got it for you.
She just very calmly, she stays where she's at, and she just reaches out a hand.
How low?
Oh. I can't sense when she moves.
He's just standing there. You want it?
She's like, you can just hear a little like, oh, that was stupid of me. Peter, would you mind grabbing that for me?
Um, Peter takes a step forward and trips almost where he expected to be picked up by the fairy dust and then almost falls into getting the sap,
Yeah.
but quickly just kneels and like snags it out of the mouse's hand.
And she just points. She's still in her pose, and she just points at a very obviously empty corner that was waiting for it.
He goes and places it.
And again, without turning to them, she says, "If you would, if you would, if you would like to watch, you are welcome to stay."
Well,
Plants his ass down firmly.
maybe you just tell us what a safe distance is and we'll hang out around there.
I believe the worst outcome of this possible is for me to suffer some consequences. I do not believe that even if this goes wrong, that it will explode.
Well, I do have some healing abilities beyond just my magic, so hopefully I can be of help there.
I would appreciate it, but hopefully it won't come to that. And you hear her take like a very deep breath in and out. And then it's not that she's humming with her mouth. It's like she starts humming, like her body starts humming. And then slowly so do the rest of the objects that are placed around her. And now I'm going to jump to, which one I'm doing first? And now I am jumping to Triss. So Triss, you are in the tavern playing cards. Do you want to describe Triss for everyone?
Sure. So, and I'll go ahead and drop my art in the art chat. Maybe.
Yeah.
I can't drag it. Okay, we already talked about this. Give me just a second.
You should be able to use keyboard commands. That is what I do usually to post things.
Oh, like Control C and stuff.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh.
There we go. So, Triss is pink. She's a tiefling. She has like antelope-ish horns that come out and twist out of her head. She is a paladin. She is very like she's I can't think of the word right now. She's pretty built, pretty muscular. And she has white short hair.
Cool. So, are you playing with friends? Is this the usual crew, or is this more about the tavern you're at that's usual than the people you're playing with?
It's probably the usual crew that she's playing with.
Okay. So you're in the middle of a fairly Jesus, the chat. Like green. You're in the middle of the usual evening. When you kind of have to start to turn to one of your companions, and you notice that they're sort of looking through you. And you notice that they're not moving. And you glance around, and no one's moving. And then you look past the end of the table, and all of a sudden, portal opens. Think like sling ring portals, but instead of that orange gold, it is an electric blue. And through it comes a hand. It's just energy. It's clearly not really there. A midnight blue hand comes through and reaches out to you, and simply says, "Redemption waits for you if you choose to pursue it. Will you come?" do you do?
So I guess kind of before seeing the hand, she's kind of gonna be like, "Hello," in front of like one of her friends' faces. And then she does notice the portal because even though her perception is it's a fucking portal. So
Yeah.
um so she notices that in the hand, and she goes ahead and takes it because redemption, hell yeah. Um
So there's a moment as she takes the hand where there's a hesitation, clearly not on the part of the hand. There's clearly a moment of, like, are you sure? Giving you a second to be sure or not. And as that moment starts to end, your hand is grabbed and you are yanked. And you are gone. Portal closes, everyone at the actual tavern, time is normal again, and they're like, what the fuck just happened? Where's Triss? Where's Triss? And you don't know, you're gone, but they're up in arms trying to figure out what in the world just happened. Cool. Next up is Zephyr. Zephyr, you are in the companion's field with Kier. What are you doing? Describe yourself and Kier.
So Zephyr is she's a human, about average height. She's got long, dark hair that's tied up in like a braid that's wrapped into a bun, just sort of pinned in place on her head. She is dressed all in white. White pants, white shirt, kind of medieval looking. I'm going to post the art in chat real quick.
Yeah.
It's the white, it's like very much a uniform, even though it's sort of like individualized just a little bit, but you can tell it's very much a uniform. She does have wire-rimmed glasses on her face. She is she's just riding out in the Companion's Hill, which is like a big thing, Central Park, on a white horse with white mane and tail, blue eyes. The saddle is kind of fancy. The saddle blanket is blue with silver embroidery. She's just out riding. She's just out enjoying a nice morning ride.
So, why does my camera keep going out? Hello. Hi, is it gonna okay. All right. So you are with Kier. You pause for a moment. You know what? You don't pause. Kier suddenly pauses. And there is some distress there. You are connected and you can tell that it's not entirely his choice. That suddenly a pause, and in front of you, same thing happens. Suddenly there is a portal, sparks, electric blue, much smaller, I guess, than a sling ring. You can't see anything through it except you see the hand emerge, midnight blue hand, all energy. And it says to you, our world is in peril. We need your skills. Will you help? Will you come?
Is Kier still paralyzed, or is he sort of released from that?
He's not paralyzed. He was kind of, it's like someone pressed the stop button on him. He had to stop, but once he was in one place, then he was fine. He was released.
There's a pause for a second. And a little mind-to-mind conversation. And like very brief, but she'll say yes. So
the hand kind of like just sneaks forward a little bit. Like is that really a yes?
And both, like she'll nudge Kier and they'll both go forward.
Once you're within reach, the hand reaches for your hand and takes your hand. But once again, same as with Triss, there's a moment of slowly grabbing onto your hand, giving you a chance to step away if you would prefer, and then yank. And you feel it as if you and Kier are one form. You are pulled somehow. This yank happens so that you are pulled as one through this portal, and you're gone. Next, Mal and Milo, you are together. So Mal and Milo, you are in a absolutely enormous libraries, and it's one of those libraries, given your world, literally magical, that you can always find something new just because there's so much, but also there's a little bit of a Hogwarts vibe of like things seem to appear and disappear a little bit. You find new passageways if you're really looking for it. And Mal, you have managed to find a new little nook of this library that you have never seen before. And you are very excited about this, I'm assuming.
Oh, hell yeah.
So while Mal is actively, excitedly exploring this small little section of shelves that she has found, what is Milo doing?
He probably doesn't even realize she's gone.
By design.
He's like looking through the titles, and then he turns around and all of a sudden she's gone. It's like, shit. Mal!
She does not hear it. She does not see it. She is looking at books.
Milo, you are waiting to hear the sound of Mal's voice calling back to you to let you know where the hell she is. And instead, what you hear is the unmistakable sound of magic happening and sparks flying.
Well, shit.
So you have a direction now if you want to move in that direction. You can tell where it's coming from.
He'll go just because he thinks it might be Mal getting up to shit.
Okay. So while Milo is moving towards where you are, Mal, you are opening a book that you have found for the first time. And suddenly, as you open it, portal opens almost like it's inside the book. And the electric blue sparks come around in a circle in that book, and the hand reaches out of that book towards you.
I'm going to scream and drop it.
The book falls, the portal does not.
What
and
the fuck?
And you hear a soft voice saying, "A new world awaits you. Will you explore it? Will you save it? Will you come?"
Milo?
Mal!
Where'd you
Damn it,
go?
Mal!
There's a book and it's talking to me. This, believe it or not, this is an entirely new experience for me.
And then he like pokes his head around the corner, finally finding you. Well, I'll be damned.
You see the portal adjust. It stayed exactly where it was as the book fell. But now that you're no longer over the top of this book, it kind of adjusts so that now that it's in front of you, like right in front of the bookshelves, the hand is reaching out to you.
Oh, look, and now it wants to be friends.
I don't like this. What did you do?
Why do you think I did something? Why is that always your first impulse?
There's a hand coming out of a portal.
Well, clearly I can see that. What do you want, hand?
We need your help.
Oh, it talks too.
And it never wavers from reaching towards Mal. It doesn't have a face to acknowledge to turn to you, Milo, but it is reaching to Mal the whole time. It continues on and says, I know you long to see more. There are endless things to see here. Please.
She looks back at Milo and then like doesn't hesitate even like a second more and then just takes the hand.
Hit Mal. He like goes and runs after her.
So you once again get the moment, but yours is shorter because it's obvious that you're like, yes, and you're gone. Milo, you see Mal disappear. And for a moment, the hand is gone as well, but the portal remains. And a second or two later, that seems endless to you, the hand emerges again. And this time, it is aimed to you. And it just says, well,
Oh, fuck me. And he goes.
grab, you're gone. Ah! All right. I think we just have Leo left, yes? Leo, you are in a playground with your daughter. So describe yourself and potentially your daughter a little bit.
So Leo is human. He is around 6 feet tall, dark hair, blue eyes. He's got fairly
Nice.
thick sideburns and a little bit of scruff. And he is incredibly tired looking. He's got some scarring across his face, and he's dressed in like high-waisted the trousers that are like button flap. They don't have the fly, but like the button-down shirt and waistcoat. His daughter has the same freckles, same blue eyes, but her hair is more of a dirty blonde. And she is cheerfully, happily playing 7-year-old.
Oh God. Okay.
It's worth noting that in the same area is an older woman who is helping her play on the playground.
So is Leo actively playing or is Leo watching?
Leo is doing what he always does, which is sit off to the side on a bench and carefully watch out for them. Very almost hyper vigilant.
Adorable. So normal thing and everyday thing happening for you. And then suddenly to your left, the unmistakable sound of magic. Crackling happens. And you turn your head and you see just to your left, electric blue portal, midnight blue energy hand reaching through to you. And you hear, we are fading. We need you. Will you help? Will you come?
His first instinct is to jump to his feet and put himself between the portal and Bonnie, his daughter. And he kind of looks at the portal, looks at his daughter, and then pulls out of his pocket a flask and shakes it to see if it's still full. What the hell is going on here?
Why did you just do the sad version of in every movie where like someone pours out the glass because they've seen something crazy? No, but you just did the sad version of that. The hand remains. It adds, no harm will come to you or her if you remain, but we need you. Please.
He kind of stops at the idea that someone needs help, and I know that there's no one watching him, but you could see the kind of worrying expression on his face. And
I will go ahead and tell you that time is still moving. It is obvious that no one else can see this portal but you. No one has noticed this, but you can still see your daughter playing. And you can still see that the older woman is there with her and everything's fine.
His brow kind of furrows and he's, how long will I be gone?
As long as it takes to save us.
Can I say goodbye?
If a hand could nod, it does. And then there's a pause and of course.
He tucks the flask away and scoops up the book that had been next to him. He was going to read and then never reads, just like he always does. And he goes over and pulls his daughter aside and kneels down and has a brief conversation that he had her, and he was dropped in intention to be good for her grandmother. And gives her a
I
hug.
missed like half of that. Am I the only one who missed half of that?
Did my internet cut out again?
It was cutting in and out a little bit, but I heard the ending and you broke my heart with just the ending about being good for the grandmother.
He basically tells her what he did when he was drafted like a couple years prior, and tells her that he's got to go away again and to be good for her grandmother, and gives her a hug and then gets up and takes the hand.
Oh God. In the moment that the hand gives you to reconsider, as it slowly grasps onto you, you hear a very soft thank you. And then wham, and you're gone. All right, we are back to M now. So the boys are gathered around, watching this, and nothing seems to happen for a little bit. There's the odd humming that is clearly not coming from lips or breath. And then suddenly she is, oh God, I don't want to say Vecna style, but she is lifted in the air. And she's not like contorting in pain, but she is up. And there's a moment of probably literally anyone that can perceive this going, like, what is happening? And then there is the sound of an explosion with no explosion as she falls and lands on her knees. And before you appears these adventurers. All of you appear in whatever you would consider your, I guess your battle clothes, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter what you were wearing, whatever you would wear to go into a dangerous situation, you are suddenly wearing and holding. So whatever weapons you would usually take into a dangerous situation, whatever armor you would have, you appear with that on. And I would like all of you to roll a perception check.
Peter immediately goes to help Althea up.
Should I roll for gear as well?
Yeah. So I'm gonna call you out in sections. So I'll give you a second to roll, and then I will call you out in sections. Did anyone get a 1? Cool. Did anyone get less than 10? Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you. So here's how I'm doing these for. Here's how I'm planning to do all of these perception checks, basically. Since we're all at least 10 or above, I have a thing that I will read for all of you. And then if you are a 16 plus, you can ask a question once I give you this description, and I will answer your question. Assuming it's something that would be reasonable for you to be able to take.
Are
So,
the mice included in this, or just the newcomers?
I would include the mice. Obviously they know some things the newcomers don't.
Okay.
So bear that in mind. So you see an old woman in a dark blue cloak, leaning very heavily on a redheaded boy in all green as he helps her up. You're standing at the base of a huge, ancient-looking tree. There are small, dim lights throughout the tree. There are a variety of tents around the base of the tree. There's a small area near the tree with no tents around it that has some sort of statue. So those of you who got 16 plus. Oh my God. All right. Cool. We'll go
You're
through
also
Mal.
16 plus.
Oh my God. All right, Mal, you got a question.
I don't know if this is necessarily like a good situational related question, but when you say battle gear, do you mean like adventuring gear or do you mean like my special armor?
Oh, that's a great question.
'Cause one of those things is a little more startling than the other.
I would say whatever would be the most serious thing you would wear.
Okay, so the special armor. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay.
That doesn't count as your perception question. You can ask something about the scene you're in.
Fuck. I was not
Could I
prepared for a
drop
question.
the text into the chat?
Oh yeah, sure.
I was not prepared for a question.
Yeah, you're fine. I put you on the spot. I was trying to do it in order, and then I realized maybe it should be if anyone has one. Does someone with 16 plus have one they want to ask? Yeah, Leo, you want to?
Does the magic lady look hurt and can I help her?
She looks drained, tired, and frail. She does not look like she has necessarily been injured in the traditional sense of the word. So there's magic in your universe. So this would look to you like perhaps you've seen someone on the battlefield who has used up all of their resources and then some. And there's not much you could do besides make them sleep for a few days. They'll probably be okay, but they need to take care of themselves. Anyone else got one?
I have a question that might be slightly meta.
That's
You
fine.
can tell me no. Do we still have our magic?
That's a great question. Let's talk about that. So, all of you who, okay. No, I can answer this. Let me look. Let me make sure I wrote this. Your magic, any of you who have magic, your magic is intact. Those of you, does anyone draw their magic from the land in some way? Yeah, so I'll give you this one given that. Something's wrong. Something is clearly wrong. Your magic is there, but there's a weird disconnect. What did you roll, Callie?
I got a 16.
Okay. That's all I'm going to say then. There's a weird disconnect. Something feels off.
Okay.
You know that you have access to your magic and it's not gone. It's not muted. Everything's fine. But the thread of your magic coming to you somehow feels different, seems strange.
Okay. He's also gonna go over by Mal.
Of course, expected. Anyone else who got a 16 or above?
Okay, I think I have a question that maybe makes sense now.
Okay.
So in looking around, is where we are like any place that like I would have been familiar with, like considering my vast amounts of reading?
This is a great question because now I'm debating about whether I don't feel like history would always make sense. This is not gonna be the only time you might ask a question like that, and I gotta decide what you would roll for this. What the hell? I'll make it history. Give me a history check.
I can't math today. Dirty 20.
Okay. You're immediately like, well, that's fucking Peter Pan, isn't it? Like that is unmistakably Peter Pan. And with that context, then on a dirty 20, I would say your brain's then like, oh, well, that's fairy godmother. And then you're like, well, what the fuck? What do you mean that's the fairy godmother? Like that makes no sense. But you look around and you see like, what if that's Peter Pan? And this must be the Lost Boy tree. Like that is just obvious, right? So that whole combination of thoughts is whirling through your head of wait, what? How those aren't real things. What is this?
I'm going to repeat everything that you just said in a whisper to Milo.
Can I actually, so something I'm going to ask you guys to do, we'll see if it gets stupid, but can you put that, how would she put that basically? Because obviously she wouldn't literally say exactly what I just said. Does that make sense? Like, what does she communicate to him?
I mean, she might, honestly. She might say, well, that's fucking Peter Pan. Like, as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, that sounds like what she would say.
Okay, all right. Milo, a thought?
The fuck do you mean that's Peter Pan?
Well, look
And
at
he says
him.
it a little louder than he probably should have.
She's going to elbow him like really hard in the side when he pitches his voice up.
I'm going to interrupt you there because this is all going to happen very fast. So that's all you're probably going to be able to get out before the next thing happens. Anyone who rolled 16 or above who hasn't got a question yet, get him in.
I actually have a meta question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it assumed that these fairy tales are like in books across the board, no matter what universe we're in or where we're from?
Yes, I think for player purposes, it'll be the most fun for you if you assume that your universe has essentially the same tales of fairy tales as ours does. If you want to throw in like, oh, in our version it's this, like if you want to pick that your universe does more of the Grimm style fairy tales or your universe is more Disney than others, that's cool. You can decide that for yourself, but yes, is the idea. I think that'll be the most fun for everyone.
I was just questioning from like a father point of view.
Yeah, I think that would make sense that these are the kinds of things you've probably read in whatever version you decide. I think Ellie and Hills, you both had roles that you could ask a question, yeah?
Also sort of a meta question, but I'm assuming that we can all understand each other regardless of...
Yep.
Okay.
And that is assumed. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, assume that for the rest of the campaign unless I tell you otherwise.
Okay. We arrived in battle armor. Does anyone here wearing like incredibly, I don't know, futuristic, realistic, like armor, like something that would be strange to someone who is, say, from like D&D medieval-esque?
Seb, you're the most likely candidate there.
I just went with chainmail.
Okay.
I just
no.
stuck to that kind of medieval-esque look.
All right. So last meta question. You said that there were tents.
Yes.
And then are the tents like, are they arranged? Are they just haphazard? Are they...
I will answer that, but that's your perception question.
Okay, that's fine.
I will tell you more about the tents if you want. I wrote something here. The tents are clearly hastily set up. It's definitely haphazard. There's no organization to it. Different sizes, different textures of canvas or whatever, different fabrics. Some of them are clearly like very makeshift. Like it looks like someone took a few large blankets and used them to make something like a tent. It is a bit of a mess.
All right, here's perception question. Is the camp occupied?
Oh yeah. You can't see everyone, obviously. And it's not like everyone's gathered or something. But you can tell that everyone's not gone. Some people are watching. There are some people off in the distance you can see doing random things, just going about their day. There definitely are probably some tents that have people in them.
Okay.
Hills, you have one?
Yeah, I want to know more about the statue.
Okay, what's your roll?
My roll is a 19. Am I rolling for history?
Was it a natural 19?
Yes, it was a 19 plus a 1.
Okay, so a dirty 20. All right. I'll give you the 20 then, since you got a dirty 20. The statue is of a humanoid fox. He seems to be frozen in stone. As you look more closely, you can see just barely, almost impossibly lightly, his chest appears to be moving, like he's breathing.
Don't like that.
You're welcome, Callie. Yes, the boys.
Can you explain to me what the boys heard or smelled?
What did the boys hear or smell? They heard the explosion, but they would have felt no blast of an explosion. There was no movement of air like that.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I don't know if you can hear the sound of someone being risen up in the air magically. Maybe not. I guess not.
Not unless she kicked gravel away or something like that.
Probably not. I'm gonna say that you could hear the arrival of people just from the sounds of their feet kind of landing on the grass. They're not dropped from a height, but suddenly there's a crunch. They're all standing there. So you would be able to perceive, I think, that there are suddenly people there that were not there before.
They smell horse.
Yes, probably smell horse.
Is anyone here particularly stinky?
Yeah, that's very important. Do any of you have a particular scent to you that we need to know about?
I mean, they'll learn your scent no matter what. They can perceive pheromones, but
I mean, Leo's a medic and an alcoholic, so take that as you will.
Milo probably smells a little bit like gunpowder.
Mal definitely smells like grease and roses.
Oh, fun combo.
Zephyr just probably smells like leather and horse. She's a horse girl.
I have one in each campaign.
You gotta. Hills, you got a scent for Triss?
I was gonna say, I guess also leather, and then probably whatever oil she would use for her weapons.
Oh, weapon oil. Okay. All right. So you only have a few seconds to perceive all of this, to have a little bit of a back and forth as the older woman in front of you struggles to get to her feet with the help of this redheaded boy. And then she manages to kind of get herself up almost entirely. She's still leaning pretty heavily on the boy, but she is able to prime herself enough to speak. She says, "Welcome to Reverie, adventures. I thank you for making the decision to come here. Our realm is in dire need of help. I do not know why my spell chose each of you, but I can only pray that it made the right choices. A terrible calamity has occurred. A massive explosion at the royal palace was followed by a series of bizarre attacks. As the dust settled, all the magic users of this realm realized that our magic and the magic of this land was gone, drained away by some unknown force. Reverie is a place of magic, and we cannot survive without it. It's clear that the castle is the central focus of whatever evil has taken hold here, but it's impossible to reach. The castle is surrounded by impassable arcane crystals, and there's a lingering stench of powerful evil magic the closer that you approach. We desperately need your help to discover how to remove these crystals so that we may investigate the castle and put the world to rights. Everyone assembled here, and she gestures at this camp, and many in other places of our world will be happy to assist you in any way we can. Others may need some incentive, but all of us are weakened at the moment.
Well, not all of us.
And she just looks at her companion who's been helping her.
I was gonna mention it earlier, but Hook's been kind of acting weird. Well, I guess, well, maybe I should say he's been acting normal.
She takes a moment and is clearly like parsing that knowledge. Given his nature, I would have assumed he would be in hiding.
I'm almost sure I saw the ship flying the other day.
That shouldn't be possible.
Even his first mate, typically he would be reacting, and even he's not reacting.
I'm sorry, back up. Captain Hook.
Is that fucking Peter Pan?
She turns to you as if it's the most natural thing in the world and just says, "Oh, yes. He is the pirate captain here. Usually nothing more than a nuisance, but sounds as if he's not acting as you'd expect given everything."
He's typically a big codfish, but he's just been doing his normal rounds.
Leo kind of, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And just pulls out the flask and takes a sip.
Milo leans over. He's like, "Hey, you got more of that?"
He absolutely passes it over.
Oh, ready. She clearly has a moment of like, oh God, okay, right. There's people here. I'm sorry. I suppose I'm getting a little ahead of myself. My name is Althea. I'm often referred to as the fairy godmother. I'm someone who's I solve problems, I suppose, is how you might say it. I try to fix things for people. This is Peter.
Hi.
I told you.
What are all your names?
And then no one spoke.
Mal,
like, what the fuck?
Mal marches up to her and holds out her little gloved hand. I'm Mal de Roche, and that is Milo.
She very, very gracefully takes your hand and shakes it and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for coming to help us."
Mal, what we talk about? We're talking to strangers.
One of us has to have manners. Clearly not going to be you.
There's a difference between manners and safety.
Oh, yes, she looks very unsafe.
Well, she did take us to wherever the fuck this is.
The look on her face is so clearly like, chaos. I'll wait. I'll just wait till they handle this. Anyone else step forward?
Zephyr will dismount and she'll walk up and just reach out her hand to shake the fairy godmother and just be like, "I'm Zephyr." Kier just sort of stands there, like he stays where he was when she got down. But you can sense that he's kind of watching her and like ears back. He's not too thrilled with what he's seeing.
She shakes your hand and then she turns to Kier and does one of those nods that's almost like the version of a bow without bowing, of acknowledging him as well.
And you see this horse. And everyone else sees a horse that looks very well trained, but the horse just sort of.
And there's clearly a moment where I'm not going to make you roll for it. You recognize that she knows that this is not just a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Tris, Leo?
Tris goes over and puts out her hand. I'm Tristan. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to make your acquaintance. Thank you. Thank you again to all of you.
Leo will kind of raise the flask in like a little cheers motion. Very gruffly just mutter, Leo. Just like that. He's not going to give his full name.
She gives a nod back, and there is a completely transparent look of not pity, but compassion, and almost a little bit of concern.
If anything, it makes him grumpier. Like he's just kind of scowls.
I'm shocked. And what are the mice doing? What are the boys doing?
They were just kind of sitting on the root of the tree as all of this is happening. And then Patrick just kind of stands up and goes, not to interrupt, but can someone tell me what's happening?
Mal is going to clock him. Like, not like clock him, but she's going to see that he's there. And her face is going to go white. And she's going to, like, let out a shriek. And then grab Milo so hard that it hurts.
The mice jump. What's happening? And Patrick pulls out his sword and his shield, and he's like, "Are we under attack?"
It has become a full scream now, and she is going to try to like jump on Milo.
Can we see the mice? Like, do we clock the mice?
You can see them. They're just they're on the ground. I mean, they're tiny.
Zephyr,
they're only like slightly larger than normal mice, so
absolutely mystified, but not.
But they stand on their hind legs, so
Zephyr's gonna walk up to them and just sort of kneel down. You talk.
Chauncey comes up, puts out his hand. Yes, we do. Nice to meet you. Name's Chauncey, and he just kind of puts out his little mouse hand for a handshake.
She will reach down with like her finger and shake his paw.
And this is my brother Patrick and my other brother Leslie.
I will
see. What did I tell you about calling me? The name's Master of Darkness. Thank you.
You can tell that Zephyr's trying to bite back a laugh when she's just like, "I'll do my best to remember your names. It's a pleasure to meet you."
How is Mal recovering?
Not good, fam.
Milo's struggling to hold her because she's wearing that armor.
You can see it. Nothing she does. You've not seen anything so far where she's trying to hide anything. You see Althea start to make a gesture, clearly like starting to a spell, and just like fucking nothing happens. And she like stares at her hand in annoyance and comes up to you and has to do it the non-magical way and like lightly puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Are you all right, dear? There's something happened."
Oh, no, I'm perfectly fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
She doesn't like mice.
Oh, I see. Well, they hardly qualify as the usual, I suppose. You'll see. Sorry. You'll. I'm sorry. It just walked by and I didn't expect it. Um, you'll see that there's sort of two types of animals here. And I don't think you have to worry about these ones scurrying around in a corner.
Chauncey walks up to Zephyr's horse, puts out a hand. Hello there. What's your name? My name's Chauncey.
The horse does look down at the mouse and is very careful not to squish it. And just sort of like puts his head down towards the ground and kind of just like whuffs at him, but you don't hear anything.
Is that like an exhale, like with
kind of like a little.
So his like hair's blown a little bit.
Yeah.
But all right, you didn't have to be unfriendly about it. And he turns and walks away.
You do get a sense of amusement, friendly amusement. Like you do pick up on that. There's a sense to it. You kind of get a sense that there is intelligence there.
Well, shall we get started? What's our first task, Fairy Godmother?
We have any say in these tasks? Like, maybe we don't want to be here. Maybe we want to go back to our own world
And she turns to you, having had her arm on Mal, so she's right next to you. And she turns to you, and her face is just stricken, like she is mortified at that comment. And immediately starts falling over herself to apologize. And say, I'm so sorry. I thought I had very limited ability to communicate with you, but I was trying to do everything I could to make sure that no one joined unwillingly. I don't know if I have a way to send you back, but
great.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, if we solve things, I will. You see, I suppose the fairy part makes it a bit obvious, but I usually have many more abilities than I have currently. And you see her swallow and almost like assess herself, take a moment of zen. I have had to sacrifice something of myself to bring you all here. And I don't think I'm able to regain that until I have my abilities back. And I don't think I have the ability to do the spell again, to send you back until it is safe for me to do so. I'm sorry if that wasn't more clear. I will be able to send you back, but not until this is fixed and I am back to myself. And then it will be no problem. I can send you back whenever.
We ain't the ones to fix this.
If someone else fixes it, but without my magic, I wouldn't know how to. I wouldn't know how to get you back.
And if no one can fix this?
I think for just like grief over her face, unbridled grief for a moment. I apologize if I have. I apologize if I am worried about far more than just sending you back if we are unable to fix this. I don't know if I explained myself well enough. I don't know how the world is still holding together without magic at the moment. I wouldn't think it was possible. And I know that there are many who, well, there would be far more lights around this tree if there weren't so many who need their magic to survive.
Leo's face softens a little bit, and he clears his throat, and he's like, "Well, I said I'd help, didn't I? We're already here."
Zephyr just sort of shrugs from where she is with the mice, and she's like, well, hell, we survived one magical cataclysm. What's one more?
I do appreciate that. If I suppose if any of you are unwilling, you're welcome to stay here. It seems as if this is a place of safety for now, at least. I agree with Peter that, to be frank, we've been unable to explore much given our limited resources. At the moment, it's been simply, well, we've been focused more on making sure that everyone's safe and survived the explosion and the after effects.
Yeah.
But
sorry to interrupt. Looking around both Zephyr and Kier, are there any defenses around this camp, like obvious defenses? Like,
no, it's really obvious that no one is focused on that. It's more like making sure everyone's fed, making sure everyone has a place to sleep, making sure that anyone who's wounded or drained can be helped. No one's been concerned about, there's not really anything.
Kier sort of glances over at Zephyr and she glances back at him, and they both roll their eyes.
I get it.
They are not impressed.
I will say you notice that there's not, how to put this? There are no obvious signs of any sort of battle here. There has not been any conflict at this place at all. None. And no one seems to be like on edge about, there's no one watching. There are no like people on watch, no guards patrolling. People seem more tense than ready for a fight, if that makes sense. Drained, upset than tense, I guess maybe is the right word. Oh, get a message. Feels like this might be a point to take a quick break. I have another like section that we can do. But if we want to take a break before that, cool. All right, so you've all been introduced, not so much to each other, I guess. You've introduced yourselves to Althea. And you have, I guess, your first lead. Is anyone kind of trying to step forward and take charge to get things moving?
I feel like Zeph probably would.
Okay.
At the very least, ask for directions as to where they're supposed to start. You can tell she's kind of looking around the camp like she wants to give suggestions, but she doesn't want to overstep boundaries either.
Roll me insight.
Oh, not great. Oh, not terrible. 12.
12. So far, she has not given you any indications that she has an ego. I'll give you that. Your next step is up to you, though.
She's gonna ask the fairy godmother, do you expect trouble here in the coming days?
Since the explosion, there has been no attack. Those who were nearby when it happened had some bizarre encounters, but nothing went further than that area. In fact, I would say we've had less trouble than usual, as many. She's clearly debating about which term to use. Troublemakers have found it prudent to make themselves scarce, given the situation. We've obviously had people not getting close, but keeping eyes on the castle, and there's been nothing. It doesn't seem as if, I don't know, it doesn't seem as if an invading force has entered. It seems as if something terrible has happened, and the magic is gone, but it was not followed by an attack or an invasion.
But you have a massive supplies here. You have supplies to take care of your encampment. Your plenty of food stock, plenty of water.
There's clearly a moment of confusion. And then there's a moment of confusion, and then she pauses and says, "It's not usually a concern here. It is a rare occurrence where food or water is scarce. That's not been our concern. I'm far more concerned about, well, she sort of gestures vaguely upwards. Those like the fairies who, to be honest, I'm shocked are still alive. And I fear for what may happen to them if they are disconnected from their life force for too much longer. But yes, I'm not concerned about supplies.
You and you alone hear in your head a masculine voice say, what my chosen is trying to so tactfully put is, you need to build a wall. If something exploded your palace, it would make sense that forces might be gathering, and there's a pause, and it's like, camp is haphazard at best.
So when she first hears the voice, there's a moment of surprise, but it's not, there's no like looking around who's speaking to me. It's more what is being said and how it's being said that has surprised her. Mm-hmm. And she kind of like looks at the group and is trying to decide, I guess, where to aim the answer. And she kind of pauses and then kind of is very clearly like speaking to the group and says, I understand that you all come from very different worlds, presumably even from each other. There are places here that an attack an attack for anything but justice would be unwise. And even with how drained our world is, it appears that these places still hold true, or at least this one does. I know it may seem odd that we are not bracing ourselves for a battle, but no one would be foolish enough to attempt to fight here for something like selfishness.
Zephyr and Kier just sort of exchange a look.
This is what I meant by you're gonna find the world wild. This is what I meant. And she kind of clearly has a moment of trying to like, okay, not get bogged down, like we gotta keep moving. My only this is what concerns me about Peter's report of Hook. Especially given that many of those who I would be most concerned about are magic users. And I know that some of them have lost their magic as well. They're no threat at the moment. But Hook, well, I've never known him to have any of his own magic, but his ship does. And I'm sure some of his crew has some. The idea of them being unconcerned with what has happened is alarming. He is, well, from what I know of him, I don't believe he'd be much of a threat, but he is one who is foolhardy enough that he might try something.
Zephyr just looks confused. She hears Captain Hook and ship, and she's just like, these mean nothing to me.
Right, well, as the natives to the land, my brothers and I are happy to be your map, shall we say. Shall we get going?
Boys, maybe I should lead.
Oh, are you coming with us?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about taking orders from a couple of mice.
They can't see. So
Oh, even better.
but that's okay.
You do
I
know that
the ship
mice
inside
have
and out.
pristine hearing, Peter.
And I just never would want to offend. Of course, you know your way around the land, but I know my way to the ship.
And our noses know the way to the sea, friend. But of course, if you'd like to come along, we shan't argue with you.
She's clearly attempting to make the peace here. She jumps in and adds, well, whether you need directions or not, Peter is certainly the expert when it comes to Hook. I'm sure at some point you will need his knowledge. She clearly has, there's a moment of, actually, you know what? No, I'm going to stick to it. I'm rarely going to make you roll insight on her because she doesn't bother to hide how she feels. There's a moment of embarrassment. And she kind of little awkwardly says, I don't know how much help I would be in the circumstances. I think it would be good for me to get some rest. I will be here if I can be of any help. But, well, without my usual abilities, and given my current state, I think I would only slow you down.
We go, clears his throat and kind of awkwardly says, magic works anything here like this in my world. What you're gonna need is rest.
I agree. I don't fully, I hate to say it, but I don't fully understand what I did. But I feel that rest will help, but I will not be myself until hopefully we are successful. Um, she eases off of Peter some, and you see, oh, do I want to do that or not? Yeah. She's gained strength during the rest of this conversation. She can kind of hobble a little bit. It's awkward, and it's clear that this is not how she normally walks. She's not usually, you can see from, she's obviously old, but you can also tell from her appearance that she's very drained right now, but she does not appear to be someone who is like decrepit. And she clearly has no idea how to, it's awkward to watch. She clearly does not know how to get herself around in this kind of state. She's not used to hobbling around. So she kind of, is moving herself a little bit around, clearly heading towards where she would be staying. And turns and just asks, is there anything I can do before you leave? Do you need anything? And I'm going to assume that is actually a silence. And everyone's kind of like, ugh. She's like, well, I thank you. And I shall be here when you return. Please stay safe. And she's going to turn and go to her tent. Which I'll go ahead and throw out, like, it's obvious because there's a tent that is the same fabric, appears to be same or similar fabric to her cloak. So it's a reasonable guess. That's where she's going. All right, you head out.
Peter is looking like worriedly over his shoulder at her as she walks out, and is kind of like worriedly looking around, like kind of watching her and making sure that she makes it before he turns back to the group, like waiting expectantly, and is like, oh yeah. Are you guys ready to go?
Zephyr will kind of look around at the group and just shrug and be like, I guess now is as good a time as any.
Okay, so I'm assuming we're all heading out. So,
as we're heading out, can the Master of Darkness try to pickpocket Milo because he was being mean?
Absolutely. So what would that be? Like sleight of hand versus perception?
I think so.
Okay.
A 28. Yeah, you beat me. I'm not looking for like anything actually valuable or anything. It's more just like I want to see what he got in his pockets. But by see, I mean feel, because I'm blind.
Yeah, he's got a pistol in his belt, He's probably got a couple of books in his pack. Just
Have the mice experienced
practical things.
guns before, DM?
Have the mice experienced guns before? Yes, there are guns. They are not. Well, so tell me about Milo's gun.
It's like a 1920s revolver.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is a new kind of gun. You've seen guns, but you've seen God, I gotta have a time period. I don't know, like, several hundred years ago, rifles. I don't know, like at most, like
gun
Revolutionary
muskets.
War era kind of stuff at most. So muskets, yeah, muskets would be the most advanced we'd have. So you've seen hunting rifles and things, but not revolvers. That's not a thing.
Easy would it be for a mouse to get this revolver real quick?
It's heavy.
So, like, what if he falls on him and he's like, look what I got! And you can just kind of look down and see him there with it.
Callie, how bad was your perception roll?
I had a 16.
Okay.
It's like clipped into a holster.
Can I also roll since I'm standing really close to him?
Absolutely.
This is
Roll
perception, right?
yes, roll a perception. I would roll a strength.
Oh, no. That's bad. 3.
Okay, here's what I'll give you. He attempts. He's able to kind of unclip it and grab it, but the only reason he's able to get it out of the holster is because he falls with it.
Yeah. That's
So he falls to the ground with the revolver landing on top of him. And it's like,
Is the revolver loaded?
Does he take damage?
Oh God, I gotta figure out fall damage for mice.
Does he take damage?
I'm gonna say no. He's wait, who is it? This is Master of Darkness.
Yes.
Okay, give me a dex save.
Fall damage for mice would also be a lot lessened as they're
We're lightweight.
No.
22.
It's like a squirrel falling.
All
They
right,
don't take
I'll
fall
give you-
damage.
22 dex save. I'll say he manages to move where it's still awkward as hell, but he's not
He
taking the brunt of the weight on something squishy.
He picks it up and he tries to drag it to his brothers, just drag it across. Like it's very obvious at this point. You can absolutely
feel it fall out of my pocket out of the holster.
I would say, yeah, Mal. What perception did you get?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay, so Mal, I'm gonna say you see that the moment that my mouse grabs the revolver, you see it, and you see the fall happening. I would say Milo, you notice it once it's falling because I think you feel the weight of the revolver disappear, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then you look down and you see
it's loaded,
and you see this mouse trying to drag it.
Like, oh hell no! He goes and grabs it.
He he tries to hold on to it, but he's got little mice hands. He can't. He's just like, oh, all right. And then he hands it. My name's the Master of Darkness. What's yours?
Milo. Don't touch my gun. You know how to work one of these things?
No. Would you teach me?
Yeah, don't touch my gun.
Would you teach me how to shoot a gun?
Maybe if you can work up the strength to hold it first.
All right.
Shadow. But also, you just tried to steal my gun.
He says shadow and he whips his cape and then he runs away.
Mice aren't like that back home.
T-shirt? Mice aren't like that back home.
Are we all watching this happen?
I think
I would say it becomes pretty obvious what's happening.
He does shadow and he runs away, and his brothers are like, Leslie, You can't just be stealing people. They're our friends now. You really got to think better before you take something twice your size.
I think I prefer the mice back home. I scream, they run.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
So I'm glad I decided to let M continue to be the mice instead of making them be a new out of universe character. It's already paying off. Okay. So I think in general with travel for this whole campaign, like I'm keeping it minimal. The world's not that big anyways, so I'm not going to worry about like traveling too. Um, I would say once we get close, the question becomes how are we approaching? So obviously it's a ship, it is at a dock. I'm gonna go ahead and say that there are like no ships anywhere nearby. So before you get like where you could see literally anyone, you would see a very large ship. The question becomes, are we going in are we going in stealthy? How close are we getting? Has anyone come up with a plan on the trip there?
I am going to just let you know that if you want to be stealthy, you should leave Leo behind. I have a dex of 10 and disadvantage on stealth. And it's very obvious the whole time we're walking.
Clunk, 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 clunk.
Complete with like cursing as he trips over like tree roots and shit. Like he's not a graceful man.
If we have any luck, we'll just look for this one.
You'd spent most of the trip, I don't know, let's say 1 or 2 hours. You spent most of the walk in forest until it clears out as you're clearly heading into like a peninsula. That's gonna be beach pretty soon. So yeah. Figure out your approach here. What are you doing? What's the goal here?
I would like to say that if it took a couple of hours after like maybe the first half hour of listening to Leo stumbling and tripping and whatnot, Zephyr would have held out an arm to him to like offer to ride behind her on Kier.
He looks momentarily thoroughly embarrassed and then just shrugs and allows himself to get help up onto the horse.
Yeah,
with a muttered apology.
No worries, not everyone's used to hiking.
Actually, that's a good point. Before we get to what's the plan here, does anyone have RP that would happen on the way? It's only an hour or two, so it's not like you're like, dear God, I'm so bored, I'm gonna die if we don't talk. But I mean, you've been suddenly thrown into this situation, so I don't know if. I mean, one I would throw out is Triss is a tiefling, so I don't know how the rest of y'all, those of you who are not from this universe, if that gets a reaction from you or not. If there's questions there for you. If your world even has tieflings.
I will
Sorry.
I will say motherfucker. Every time I would say Mal is not going to say anything to Triss, but she is going to be studiously taking notes in a little book the entire time, just kind of like,
And Milo's like looking over her shoulder at the notes.
like making really shitty little sketches.
Is Mal making any attempts to like hide this?
No.
All right, then I just say, yeah, Triss sees this then.
Before you respond, I will also say that Leo is doing his best to avoid Tris.
Catholic.
Just like,
Not like being rude about it, just like genuinely nervous about the idea. So he's just not engaging.
fair. I guess Triss would be like, what are you doing over there? To Mal.
Writing, then a little bit of scribbling.
He does this.
Can I see?
It's
I
not
promise you
very
the sketches
good.
probably ain't very good.
Same fucking thing.
She like hands the book over, and they're like, it's just like a little section at the bottom, and it's not like, it's really cramped writing. It's really hard to see. Like, this is a person who writes notes really quickly, that's in like shorthand only she can really understand. The pictures are unflattering, not on purpose. She's just really bad at drawing. But they make sense to her, so it's okay. And then, like, as Triss gets close to her, she's like, oh, I didn't notice that. And then, like, scribbles it out and then, like, starts drawing a new picture.
I guess Triss is like, is that me?
Yeah, can't you tell?
Give me just a second. I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll deception because I don't know if she actually can tell if it's her. That's a 5. So she goes, yes.
Oh, good. I guess this one's a good one then.
Well, if you have any questions, you can always ask. I don't bite much.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Right. Well, I'm Mal. It's nice to meet you. She holds out her hand.
Triss takes her hand and sort of shakes it and goes, I'm Triss. Nice to meet you, Mal.
Yes, well, thank you. And then she's very embarrassed to have been caught like drawing somebody and then like actually having to show them the drawing. So she like tucks her book back to her chest and like smiles at Triss again and then like scurries back to Milo.
And he kind of leans over to her and he's like, they were better this time. It was actually, there was a little resemblance there.
She doesn't say anything. She just pouts.
He nudges her with his elbow gently.
Has Mal adjusted at all to the mice in the party?
She is pretending they are not there.
Valid. The only other one I'll throw out before we come up with a plan of action is if anyone asks Peter anything.
I don't want to ask Peter anything, but I do want to ask Leo something since he recognized Peter to an extent, I think. So once she has Leo up behind her, she's just gonna be like, you seemed to at least recognize a few of the people. And she sort of nods towards Peter, and she's just like, care to share some insight?
Yeah. Hold on, I am checking something really quick. Okay, yeah, it was out at that point in time. He kind of like stares at Peter for a second. He's like, it's interesting. I'm fairly certain I just read my daughter his book, and kind of nods towards Peter. He's a fairy tale character in modern language. And just kind of gestures like
fairy tales I recognize, fairy godmothers I recognize. I'm not sure him I recognize, or them. And she kind of subtly points to the mice.
You don't have to be subtle. They're blind.
I just love the idea that you're gonna end up all like Googling. What the heck? What is happening to my
Did
computer?
everyone else see that?
I saw it.
Your computer's possessed. Are you
She's
on a
being
laptop?
taken away.
I am on a laptop.
I would maybe make sure you don't have any loose wires between the monitor part of the laptop and because sometimes things get weird.
I think it might be time for a new laptop, guys. It's been bad for a while. What I was trying to say before I was possessed, just that I love the idea that throughout the campaign, I'm gonna make y'all are gonna end up Googling a million different fairy tales to like look up when they were written. What's the origin of this thing?
Leo is around 1918, World War I-esque time frame. So he would, in theory, recognize both Peter Pan. Peter Pan came out in like 1911, and the Three Blind Mice, which I just looked up just in case. And he kind of like nods and he's like, pretty sure they're a book too. How'd you get a horse through a portal?
Leo asking the real questions here.
Leo, in sort of like in the back of his mind, definitely feels a sense of laughter. Like, not that someone's laughing at him, but that someone has found something that he said very amusing. Zephyr does laugh a little bit, and she just says, where I go, he goes, and where he goes, I go.
Cryptic and unsettling. I like it. He offers Zephyr his flask.
She will take it and sort of take a sniff of it. And there's a pause for a second, and then she just takes a small sip and hands it back.
Oh, are we all drinking here? Can I have some?
I gotta know what's in the flask. You gotta let us know what's in the flask.
It would be like whiskey or bourbon, some sort of like rye liquor type of drink. He kind of glances towards Milo first.
He's not my father.
I ain't her father. Definitely not.
And
She's way too old to be my daughter.
He
Not that
will.
you're old. I'm old.
How old does everyone look, by the way?
He's 31.
Younger than she is.
Zephyr
Just
looks just
25.
old enough to drink.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know that Leo would have a gauge on how old Tristan is,
Yeah,
considering.
I was gonna say I have her as 25, but yeah, probably not a good gauge on how old she is.
So Leo's around Milo's age, but probably looks a little bit older, all things considering. He will eventually pass over the flask, although he is already regretting sharing.
She's going to like knock back a little sip and then immediately choke. Oh, you men and your whiskey? Ugh. And then she hands it back. I prefer a good gin, thank you.
Well, you didn't ask what was in it.
I didn't think the occasion called for it, thank you. This is a dire strait, and we needed to fortify.
And he tucks it back he's got like a pouch of medic supplies on his hip, and the flask goes in with the supplies.
Seb, make me a perception check.
I rolled a nat 20.
Okay, all right, great. Then I get to say the thing I thought of saying. You take back your flask. This is the flask you carry all the time, right? This is your flask. You're very used to being able to tell how much you have left in your flask at all times, right? You just had 2 people drink from it. It doesn't really seem like it's any less full than when you handed it off to Zephyr.
He does kind of like give it a little shake in confusion before he tucks it away, but he's not going to say anything yet. He does not understand the laws of this land.
Okay, anything else you want to do before we are approaching the ship? All right, so now we got to have the dreaded large group of players figures out what the hell they're doing conversation. Are you going stealth? How close are you getting? What's the plan?
Have we like has the ship come into sight at all, like even in the distance?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if you want to have a conversation before then, but I would say the obvious point that I'm sure Peter would stop you, and if we didn't already have a plan, we'd have to make a plan. This whole peninsula, there's some grass, but it gets beach really quickly. So you can see docks far off. It's a pretty large ship. So, it's the only one you can spot. It's off in the distance. There's no way they could possibly see you from here unless they're just staring right at you with a telescope. But now is your approach, I guess, is the point. So there's not like there's a whole bunch of, there's not that much foliage to hide behind. It's going to be difficult to fully stealth. But at the same time, how to put this?
Unless you're a mouse.
Yeah. It's not impossible. It's not like it's just open beach. But it's going to be harder to just completely stealth.
The ocean.
Not if you have somebody in your party who is oh my god, what is it called? Pass without a trace.
So are we going for that? Are you going to do that?
I will say that if Zephyr sees the ocean and then the boat in the distance, she's just gonna be like, "Oh, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was."
I'm noticing a trend with your characters, Ellie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, when we get closer, I'm going to make you roll perception. I will just say from here, all you can see is it is like full on huge sailing ship size. It is clearly large, but at this point, that's really all you can see. It is clearly in water. That's the only other thing. It's not flying, like Peter mentioned. He thought he'd seen that. It's not flying. It is in water. That is all you can see from this distance. If you choose to try to stealth and get closer, I'm going to have you roll perception.
If we're on a beach, are there like any boats around? Any little rowboats or anything?
You are far from the water.
Okay.
I would say, take a look at the map that I'm not going to let you see yet. So you're heading onto a peninsula. So I guess if you decided to go straight for the water, you could you could turn and go to the water instead of going further down the peninsula to get to where the ship is and see if you can find a rowboat there. But you'd have to go out of your way. And I would say from this distance, you probably wouldn't be able to see much, if anything. If you really want to try to see from this distance, I'll let you roll, but it'd be a high roll.
I was just wondering.
Okay.
As soon as we can start to smell the ocean and hear the waves, Chauncey will start talking. So what's exactly is our plan here? Are we interrogating, murdering, just asking some fun little questions?
You mice are freaking me out a little bit. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm sorry, do you murder often?
Only when the job calls for it.
You have a job.
Well, I
Multiple
don't
jobs?
murder. I'm the healer of the group. Usually the murder is one of my brothers. I stab things.
That don't make things any better.
I would say I would like to avoid murder if at all possible.
And yes, I agree. I think it's always better to hold on to the life that we have, yes.
That was strangely inspirational coming from a rodent.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Coming from someone I heard scream at my presence earlier. So, are we being friendly? Can't we just walk up and say, howdy ho? We've got some questions for you.
I wouldn't. I mean, they're not really friendly.
Well,
We can't take on a crew that size.
You're a little biased, aren't you, Peter?
Do we know how many he's got in his crew?
Yes, I do know how many he has in his
I will
crew.
answer that. Peter, you know a general idea, but it's not like a set number. So you know that there are enough, but at the very least, you know that there are enough people that they're going to far outnumber this group.
Anywhere from 20 to, and we're going to be outnumbered.
And
typically, if I had the Lost Boys with me.
Are they going to attack on sight if they see one person, two people?
They typically do. Now, if I was at full power and I had the Lost Boys on my side, it'd be a different story. But Tink hasn't really been feeling herself, so.
You know what I mean. Sorry.
So are we here to observe then? I'm not sure what the goal is.
Basically, we were just checking to make sure that, or trying to figure out what is going on with the ship that Hook has been acting so strangely. This is our only thing that we've noticed different so far. If we can get a pattern, maybe we find something that Althea can work with.
Oh,
Magic's
so
gone from the world
snooping.
and this is the only weird thing you notice?
What did you say?
I said, magic's gone from the world and this is the only weird thing you notice?
Other than the total decimation of everything else, there's a lot of things that happen in this world.
So you want to snoop?
Yes.
Luckily, I'm good at that.
She's real good at that.
Is it worth it to try and lead the pirates away and then circle back and snoop on the ship? Zephyr is asking party that. Zephyr, that's not Ellie asking that. Zephyr is asking Peter.
Yes. Peter, his crew wouldn't, no one's leaving. But there's no way the crew's leaving him.
But how do we sneak up on a pirate ship?
I still say we could walk up, say hi.
I don't think having him with us will help that.
No, he could stay behind.
Leo is looking at the water with unease, not because he's afraid of swimming or the ocean, but he is wearing full chain.
The water does look lovely, though. It is a beautiful area.
I hate to say it, but any chance we could dress up as pirates?
Suddenly, the little black mouse appears. Did someone talk about disguises? I've got a disguise kit if anyone needs it.
Are they people size or mouse size?
Never mind. And it's like that Homer Simpson back into the bushes.
I'm gonna meta for a second to help here. You can, how about this? You can get closer without it being like, you're announcing your arrival. You can get close enough to see something without announcing your arrival. How close you get, that becomes more difficult. I guess the only other thing I would throw out to think about is just the only person that Hook is automatic. I'll say this to the mice. The mice, you know this. The only person that Hook is automatically on site where we're going at it is Peter and the Lost Boys. Anyone else, you might be able to talk to him. He's not going to immediately start a fight. It's just Peter and the Lost Boys that are immediately going to start a fight. So there's your options, I guess.
Well, I suppose we could go a little closer, see if they're out and about. If anyone here is particularly sneaky, they could go take a listen.
I am for getting closer, at the very least.
Why don't we have the Master of Darkness get closer? If he's a Master of Darkness, he's got to be real good at stealth.
He pops up behind Milo. I am.
Yeah, I say we send the mouse in.
All right. And he just runs for it.
Cool. Is anyone else going any closer? Okay. Zephyr is, Leo is. Okay, so we had enough. Are most of us just going to go? Are Mal and Milo staying behind? Are you going with them?
Mal, what are you up for?
Well, I don't want to stay behind.
All right. And then we'll follow the mouse.
Okay. So getting to kind of mid-distance where you can actually maybe see some details depending on the perception. I do want everyone to roll stealth, but it's going to be a low check. Basically, did you not make a fool of yourself? Did you not draw attention to yourself in a huge way?
If I am on the horse, do I need to roll stealth?
You can roll stealth with advantage.
So I have disadvantage normally. So does that just, can I just roll it like normal?
Just roll it normal.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
I have disadvantage on stealth, so.
Oh my god.
I have advantage because my armor is cool.
Triss and Leo, heavy armor buddies.
Yep.
If Zephyr is riding the horse, do I roll for her or do I roll for Kier?
I'm fine with whichever. Give me a roll.
It's a nat 20, so.
Nice. Did I have anyone lower than a 10? What'd you get?
I was gonna ask, can the two mice that didn't gun it, like, get on the horse?
Zephyr would absolutely put the mice in her pocket.
Leo would hold a hand out for one of the mice if they tried to get up.
Yeah, Chauncey's just like, I'm so sorry to ask this, but we can't really see, and he likes to run off into things that he probably shouldn't, and we don't really want to make a mess of this for everyone else. Would you mind if we just hop aboard there?
Absolutely.
Okay. I need all of you to make me a perception check.
Is this for vision or what?
How close is... I was guessing that Master of Darkness was going to get even closer than everyone else.
Yeah, he was. He was just going to keep...
Okay. All right. Roll his perception and I'll give him something. I'll give him something depending on how he rolls. Obviously, he won't see the same things because he can't see.
So he gets advantage if he can smell, I think.
Is he going to try to get close enough to smell?
I mean, I rolled a 22 either way, but...
Okay. What did you roll on stealth?
On stealth, I rolled a 20.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll give you that. So he can get... I mean, he's a mouse.
Yeah.
I can give you that he can get, like, especially because I know he can't see everything, he can get, like, I don't know, on the ship, basically.
Cool. Yeah, he's going to listen.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you something listening then, since he's listening. All right. The rest of you, did anyone absolutely whiff their perception roll?
Define whiff.
Lower than a 10.
Kier did. He's distracted by all of the people he's carrying now.
I got an 8.
So if you whiffed it, basically you see a pirate ship. It looks like a pirate ship. You see a guy with a big hat at one point. That's all you got. Rest of you, I'll give you the basic, and then if you had a 16 plus, I'll let you ask a question. So basic is, you see a gaudy pirate ship. The man who is obviously the captain is near the back in a gaudy and lavish gold and red outfit with a huge hat with black feathers. There is a large number of crew working at casual pace. The general mood seems to be friendly, mostly relaxed. You notice a beefy man with a rosy face next to the captain, walking away occasionally to talk to a crew member, but always returning back to the captain's side. That's your basic thing you see. Did anyone get a 16 plus? Nice. All right, so 16 plus. Let me give Master of Darkness specifically something he hears. Okay. You hear at one point someone walk by you that is obviously dressed in something gaudy. You can tell from all of the fabric moving and swishing every time they move. But you also hear, because you rolled a 22, right? You got 22 of perception. You also hear a clink that you know means he has armor underneath all of that. Oh, you have advantage, and you have advantage on smell stuff. Yeah, Jupiter gave me a good thing. You also smell fresh paint. Okay, those of you who have eyes, who have eyes who can see. The mice have eyes that just can't see through them.
Eyes?
Those of you who have eyes you can see with, who got a 16 plus. Actually, I guess I didn't ask. Did anyone get did anyone get a 20? Did anyone roll a 20? Cool. All right. So 16 plus. Any of you have a question about what you see? Something you're looking for? If not, I can throw something at you. I have a few things jotted down, but if you have a question about what are you looking for here?
I did have a question. I don't know that Leo would necessarily have this question, but it's just like a normal wooden pirate ship, right? There's no like in the movie where it sparkles.
There's no obvious sign of magic here.
Okay.
It's not obvious the ship is magical. No, I won't count that as your perception question.
I mean, it's something that he has Arcana as a skill.
Yeah.
So like it's something that he would think about, but
okay.
I was specifically asking about because of the movie where it like glitters. I just wanted to know if we notice anything.
No, and it's not like and it's a normal like classic pirate ship. It's also not it's not like clockwork or anything like that. It's just a normal classic pirate ship. Anyone else got one? You want me to throw something at you instead?
You answered my question, so.
Okay. Then Milo, I will give you this makes sense for you. The crew seems well trained. They may not be individually stronger than you, but it's really obvious that even one of them would put up a fight. And there's lots of them. Ellie, you were the other one with the high. Oh, no. Yes, Ellie and Triss.
Zeph did, Kier didn't.
All right. Ellie, you got a question, or do you want me to throw one at you?
Do they look like they're just on general patrol, or do they look like they're waiting for something or expecting something?
They don't even look like they're patrolling. They're just, upkeeping the ship, doing kind of menial ship tasks. And honestly, a lot of them are like not even really working. They're kind of standing around.
Okay.
It's
I have
chill.
one question.
Okay, go.
What kind of artillery do they have?
That is a great question that I don't have written down. I'm gonna go with classic pirate ship where they have the cannon, like I don't know, like 4 or so cannons on each side, I'd say.
And the crew, do they look like they have guns?
Maybe a few of them, but it's mostly swords.
Cool.
Hills, you got one?
I was gonna ask and this is probably a bold question, but can I tell exactly how many people are on the ship?
I mean, in theory, you could if I made up a number. I don't know. I have anything like that. Okay, I'm not going to give you a number because I don't want to have to give a number on it. But I will say one thing I wrote that goes with that is that it does seem like a large number of people for this size of ship. Like, they don't need this many people to keep the ship running. Even to keep the ship running and have people just for protection, there's still a lot more people than they need. They're not, they have a large crew, more than they need. Do I have anyone, Seb, you mentioned Arcana. Do I have anyone who has high Arcana to begin with? If you have a high Arcana, I want you to roll Arcana.
What do you consider a high Arcana?
Well, okay, I guess I would just say this is going to be a high check to pass. So I wouldn't bother if you don't have good Arcana, because you would need to have some magical knowledge, and if you didn't have a high Arcana, you'd have to roll like a nat 20 for me to give it to you. So
Even with my shitty perception roll.
Yes, because I think this is different.
I got a 21.
25.
20.
I got a 24 and a 19.
Here got a 16.
Okay.
You're scary.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Between all of you, I'll give it to you. Oh, does anyone have detect magic?
My magic's gone.
Yeah, you would.
I do have it.
Not today, I don't, but I have dispel magic.
Zephyr does have detect magic.
I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you might want to do detect magic.
Well, if she rolled a high enough Arcana check, would she kind of get the sense that maybe she should?
Yeah.
Okay, because she rolled high enough. Let me.
So what are those of us that rolled high picking up?
Okay, I'll give this to all of you, and I think that would also influence what Zephyr would do. Generally, it seems like something's going on with the ship in general. It's hard to tell, is that because it has flown before or because it could fly? You don't know. But you are surprised that Althea said that she's never known Hook to have any magic. But there's something going on when you're looking at him that you're like, no, there's something arcane going on there. I know this. So I think that would probably lead Zephyr to choose to do
if Zephyr, if she can sense that there's something magical on the ship that's like not just in general magic, she will cast detect magic.
Okay, what's the range on detect magic?
Detect magic is 30 feet at first level. I think it's just 30 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. So if she has to get closer, she will get closer, because the minute she pings something strong magic, she'll dismount. She won't take Leo or the mice.
What was Zephyr's perception roll?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was high though, right? Because you got to ask a question.
It was like higher than a 15.
Okay, I'm going to combine it all and give it to you. You notice something's up. Your Arcana tells you, I thought she said he didn't have magic. What's going on? Between your perception and your detect magic helping you, you notice a ring on his finger. And that ring, it's so gaudy and huge that it looks like it should like affect his ability to handle things. It's ridiculous. But there's something magical about this ring. And not just in a like, oh, this might give me a +1 to stealth. Like, that's not just a normal, magical item you can buy at a shop for 5 pieces of gold. Like
an artifact, capital A.
This is a big deal. This is serious magic coming from this item.
She's gonna glance at Peter, since Peter was the guide, and she's just gonna be like, the guy in the ugly coat has a magical item.
I can only imagine the delight that goes across Peter's face at hearing that description of Hook.
I need everyone
Because-
to understand real quick that Zephyr has zero reference for any Peter Pan stuff. The best that she would have are like Grimm's fairy tale style. Peter Pan is after anything that would have ever been developed for her. So she's just like ugly coat, magic ring.
So she says that, and he goes, the ugly one and the, do you mean the captain?
If that's the captain, he's definitely not leading in fashion sense.
The first reaction is he is bowled over in laughter. Like this is a he falls on his butt and like rocks up over like crazy because he's used to being able to like tumble in the air and fly, and instead he just lands on the ground and kind of like has the moment where he gets the air knocked out of him first. But he gets back up and kind of still giggling, and he kind of like leans a little bit on her shoulder and is like, he doesn't have magic.
No, he doesn't have magic. He has a magic ring.
It's from, I don't know. I don't know where it would even come from. I mean, nobody would willingly give him magic.
He's a pirate. Pirates being thieves and highwaymen.
He's not very good at it.
In the back of your mind, Peter, you hear a very dry, good enough. And you just see this horse, like the one blue eye just sort of peering at you, kind of like, and you get the sense that it's almost like raising an eyebrow at you. Obviously, the horse isn't, but you get that sense.
Locks eyes with the horse. I mean, he's really, I mean, sure, he gets like a treasure box every once and again when somebody like leaves it out where it's visible. But that's almost part of the game. I mean, the Lost Boys love playing treasure hunts. So like sometimes if a box winds up in a spot where he sees it, but we don't give up magic items.
Well, maybe you didn't give it to him. Maybe he got it from the same person that blew up your palace.
Oh, we need to figure out where he got the ring from.
You just sort of see this look of like on Zephyr's face, like, oh my God, I'm dealing with a child. Like
you are. You literally are.
It literally is. It's hitting her. It's actually hitting her that she's just like, we're being led by a child.
Look, he's a child. He's very smart for his age, but he is a child.
He is forever a child. On purpose.
I'm not going to make you roll again because I had so many of you who rolled high on perception. You do notice there was someone up in the crow's nest. They have come down. They have not like started screaming or something. Everyone's still acting normal, but that guy is now exiting the ship and walking in your general direction. He's a long way off, but he is headed this way.
Wait, the captain or the guy from the crow's nest?
Nope. Someone in the crow's nest might have spotted a person with red skin who rolled a 1 on stealth. Might have happened to notice that person with horns. And it's just like, that's weird. Let me check that out. So that you have that time frame coming towards you, FYI. You got to decide where you're going from here. What are you going to do?
Does Leslie sense him passing?
Yes.
Can I leap onto his shoulder?
Trip in.
Yeah, roll stealth.
Oh, that's a 10.
Yeah, no, he freaks the heck out. Sorry, you're trying to land on his shoulder. He freaks out.
It,
Oh God, and I turn off my camera. He freaks out so much, turns off my camera. He freaks out and like can't tell what it is, but he moves enough that there's no way Leslie's staying on.
No, yeah, he just falls to the ground, squeaks like a normal mouse, and runs off.
Does the flail alert us to his presence? Or his approaching? Do we know that he's coming?
I would say you're all looking at the ship. So
Okay.
yeah, you're gonna see him exiting.
Do we see him flailing?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Big and wild and ridiculous.
Can I get off the horse?
I mean, Zephyr's not going to stop you, and neither is Kier.
If someone's coming towards them, he's gonna get off the horse and get hammer and shield ready just in case.
Whoa.
Does anyone say out loud that someone's coming towards them, or they just all kind of notice and don't tell the blind people?
Oh yeah, the mice are the mice still in my pocket?
Yeah, they're just chilling.
She is gonna after the pirate flailed a little bit, she's gonna be like, I think your brother missed his mark. Somebody's coming.
Well, you better hide Peter, haven't you?
She looks down at Peter and she's just like, should you should probably hide.
He does kind of like assess the situation and hey Katie, can you remind me, does Peter fly still or is he out of magic? Yeah, okay. He does make it like an abortive motion of like and then just like run towards the hill where they came from.
Adorable. I love him. All right, decision time is coming. Are you going towards the ship? Are you waiting for this person to come to you? Zephyr, are you going to communicate to the rest of the group about what you discovered?
Did anybody overhear my conversation with Peter? I didn't know if we were all grouped together. She wasn't hiding the conversation.
Okay, well then let's just say that everyone heard that then, because if you weren't hiding it, I assume you're all, except for Leslie, everyone's close together.
Yeah, she wasn't hiding that conversation.
But you're all aware of Zephyr's discovery about this ring.
So is the goal to get the ring then?
Maybe, but we've got company coming. And she'll just sort of say to the group, maybe be ready, but don't attack outright. Let's see what they start.
Oh God, I've made myself an NPC out of nowhere. Fuck. All right, random pirate incoming.
She's gonna be like, maybe diplomacy will get us out of this.
All right, anything before clock's ticking? He's gonna arrive soon. Anything before he shows up?
Who looks to be the least armored person in the group? Would it be Zephyr?
Yeah, Zephyr's literally just got like leathers. She's not armored.
That's what Milo's got too.
Oh shit, I can't protect both of you. I think that given his upbringing and the fact that she is not particularly armored, Leo is going to plant himself next to Zephyr, and I am going to prepare to cast Shield of Faith in case a fight happens. He's not going to cast it, but should someone swing at her, he will.
Here kind of
works for chauvinism.
Kier kind of glances at Leo, and you kind of get the sense of gratefulness.
Oh, that's nice.
I love
That's
horse.
So you're watching this. pirate approach. As he gets closer, you can see that he is pretty young, quite weedy. Clearly, you're pretty quickly realizing this guy is not going to try to attack all of you right now. That would be a bad choice on his part, and he's hopefully not that much of a dumbass. He has a very visible reaction when he gets close enough to really see this group of people. Kind of almost like a jump of like, what? He stops and like looks between you guys and the ship and you guys and the ship. And just comes closer. And once he gets kind of within shouting range, is like, who the fuck are you?
Could ask you the same thing. Who the fuck are you?
Says the lady with horns.
Hey, don't talk about her horns. Some people just have horns. Deal with it.
Rude, honestly.
You see this moment of him like second guessing himself, like, shit, what? Like, he's a little lost here. He's very confused. It's like, what
Are we not
are you
allowed to
doing
just go for a
here?
leisurely stroll?
Not this close to the Jolly Roger. What are
Why
you
not?
doing
I
right
like
here?
the beach.
There are no signs posted. This isn't private property.
He's real confused, y'all. You're starting to get the idea that like he might even be younger than you realized. Like he might be late teens because he looks like this is all very confusing to him, and adults are telling him that like he's the one being weird, and he's second guessing himself of like what the fuck is happening. Um, she's like, are you here to talk to the captain?
Not unless he wants to talk to us.
Just kind of shrugs.
I'd like to talk to the captain.
Why do you want to talk to the captain?
Just to see.
Well,
I mean, if
I'm gonna
maybe to get some more information.
Because Zephyr will look at this obviously younger pirate and just be like, does the captain want to talk to us? Maybe you can run along and ask him?
make me a persuasion check. It's not gonna be that high.
12.
Yeah, I'll take it. He's trying to figure out how the fuck to get out of there anyway. So he's like, yeah, okay.
If he doesn't want to talk, that's fine. We're just enjoying a stroll.
Yeah, all right. I mean, he likes to talk. I'm
About
sure he'd be fine with it.
what does the captain like to talk about?
Everything.
Not fashion.
Himself, mostly.
Typical man.
There's like this moment of him like saying that and being like, oh shit, I'm gonna be in trouble. And he gets like not like scared for his life, scared, but like there's a moment of fear of like, oh shit. He's like, I'm gonna go back now. You can follow. I'm gonna tell him you're here. He just kind of like nods awkwardly and turns around and starts walking off.
Just looking back at the group, she's gonna be like, now what? I didn't think we'd get that far.
You're following? He did say he was going to tell them about you, so
Maybe we'll wait, and this is Zephyr addressing the group. Maybe we wait to see what the captain's reaction is.
I think
I
that
think
sounds...
we make them come to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would prefer for him to come to us.
My accent is slowly melting into Callie's accent. We are the same person.
Okay, for the sake of time / I don't know, convenience here, I'm gonna just let you guys see this. Since you're all looking for the same thing anyways, you're looking for the captain's reaction, right? That's what we're all looking for, trying to get a vibe of that. He returns. You see this wee little child, not child. He's an adult, but barely. Like, go to the captain and get kind of swatted. Like, he's not like backhanded, but like if he had bothered to aim, he might have been backhanded. So it's just kind of like, whacked around his shoulder or whatever. And the kid's like, clearly he doesn't like fall to the ground. It's clear that he got hit, but he's not like injured. And he turns to the different guy nearby who's been next to the captain the whole time, and talks to him. And then that guy talks to Hook. And
Leslie is up there listening still.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, so he went back to the ship.
He got hit and he was like, well, and he went back up.
Okay. So they're in the middle of the ship, so I don't know if you hear every word, but I'll give you some snippets, I think. Because you'd have to like get off of the side of the ship and literally be among the crew to be there next to them. You hear Hook say something loudly like, I don't know, like, what are you bothering me about? And that's not the accent I'm going with, but now I've said it. What are you bothering me about? And you hear the smack. And then you wouldn't probably hear most of what the kid is saying to the guy with Hook, because he's kind of whispering. And then the guy with Hook turns to him and you hear him say, you might want to look over there. And, well, you wouldn't see Hook roll his eyes, but he rolls his eyes. You all see Hook grab the, it's not a telescope. What's it called?
Spyglass.
Thank you. Grab the spyglass off of that weedy little guy, and look and see you. And as far as you can tell from this distance, what you see is him look at you, laugh a little bit, and just slam the spyglass back against the guy and turn back to what he was doing. He seems unbothered.
Is anything interesting continuing to happen, or is Leslie getting bored?
Leslie's probably getting bored. There's really not much happening. Before you go, I will let you make me one more perception check. It's not a smell, so it's just a hear, so just a normal perception check.
Okay. 6.
Okay. I got nothing more for you. So Leslie's bored.
Okay. I'm just gonna head back. I'm back. I'm here to tell you. I've learned nothing.
We learned that the captain has a magic ring.
Well, I did hear him. He sounded like he was wearing a bunch of fancy things, but under the fancy things, he had some armor on there.
He should probably have just stuck to the armor.
I think he's probably one of those. You know. Disappear!
Well, and Zephyr will kind of look at the group and just be like, well, we know he has it, but we know that we're definitely outnumbered. So She'll call up like, Peter, I think you can come out now.
You see like the peak of him coming up over the hill and just kind of like, and then he kind of like scrambles up and cartwheels back over to the group.
Leo's gonna put a shield back on his back, and he's gonna turn to Peter and be like, "Kid, is it normal for pirates to wear armor?"
Not these, I guess. I mean, unless you're like a top class villain, you really don't wear armor. And these guys, I'd say they're getting like a D minus solid.
I would hazard a guess then, given what you say versus what we're seeing, maybe somebody's hired them from something, and maybe that ring is payment for whatever they're being hired to do.
I put it in the chat, but I'm going to meta for just a second to make it clear. What I have planned for tonight is basically that I have plans in place for if you choose to go on the ship, whatever your plans are going on the ship. I have reactions for that. Or you can choose to stop there and not engage in any way with the ship and go back to Althea and just have the information you have now. That's kind of your choice. And then that's kind of the end of session. The end of session is returning to camp.
Here's my thought, which is we don't really have a reason to get on the ship unless we want to see if Peter will play bait. And Leo's not comfortable with that. So I think
probably
we should
would.
head back to camp.
Yeah, Zeph would not. She doesn't want to engage in battle just yet. She doesn't know enough. So other than that, they're outnumbered. So she would vote for returning to camp.
I mean, I could just go take the ring off his finger.
And what if he squashes you? It is a magic ring. We don't know what it does.
Well,
And then you have to get off the ship.
I do suppose then I would be dead.
What if they keep you in one of those cages like a bird?
Well, this is why we run plans as a group. You could do a little distraction though, and then I could go grab it, maybe. No? Oh, all right. Disappear.
When he does his little disappear, does he like just run somewhere? Like where does he?
He like does his cape over his face and like goes down and runs on all four paws somewhere.
Does he actually whisper disappear?
Yes.
Oh, I love him.
He says it out loud.
Okay, so we heading back? Okay. All right, so anything you want to do on the way back to camp? Anything you want to discuss with anyone? Do? Okay, so you head back
But
to camp.
I would like to talk to the fairy godmother at some point. We can do this over chat if you want. But Leo will talk to her about using children as an army.
Zephyr will also be in on this conversation.
I mean, I'm cool with having a conversation now. If you want to do over chat, I'm fine with either. Because when you come back, she'll know that you're coming, and then she will come and greet you. So it is up to you whether we want that to just be. Do you want to have a conversation now? Do you want to do that over chat? What do you want?
I'm good with waiting. It's already after 10 here, so
Sounds good. So I mean, honestly, I just wrap it up. So you return to camp. Althea's there. She greets you. She is clearly still. She was laying down, but she's not well. So she very quickly kind of gestures that there are materials available for you to set up tents for yourself wherever you would like. There's also obviously there's some spaces in the Lost Boy tree that could be used if people prefer to be off of the ground. There are some spots, but she's kind of offering for you to set up your own spaces. You don't have to tell me that now, but you might think about that, about what kind of space would they set up at the camp for themselves. Assuming that there's, like material that there's canvas that they can use and things like that. And yeah, and you're settling in for the night. Ta-da! That's what I got for you.